I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today we're going to be revealing the pricing and spec for the new Genesis GV80, the first ever SUV from Genesis. It'll be arriving in Australia in a couple of months' time, priced from $90,000. Now, is that more or less than you expected for the GV80? At any point, I welcome you to leave your thoughts down below in the comments box. Now, there's been a lot of hype around the release of the GV80 for our market. It looks great, I reckon. Based on spec, it looks like it'll be able to compete with vehicles like the BMW X5, the Mercedes GLE, and the Audi Q7. And of course, we'll be able to test that on road soon. But today, we now know all of the specifications for this car, which are pretty generous across each of the three engines that you'll be able to choose from here in Australia. Then on top of that, there's a desirable $10,000 luxury package that I reckon most of us would probably want to opt for. I'm going to run through all of the details of all of the above so we can decide what a good GV80 spec looks like before we jump into this car for a drive in the not too distant future. But before we get cracking on today's video, I encourage you to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. It makes a really big difference. Alright, let's make a start. The most important thing to note straight away is that Australia is getting a really generous spec on the GV80. All three engines will offer the same equipment list, and there'll be a blanket luxury package on top if you feel like you need or want more. But what are those engines? Let's talk powertrains first and foremost. The base engine for the new GV80 will be a 2.5-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine producing 224 kilowatts of power and 422 newton-meters of torque. The Petrol 4 will be the only engine in the GV80 range that will be offered in two-wheel drive, and that two-wheel drive is rear-wheel drive because the GV80 is the first release for this brand's longitudinal platform that should make for very crisp driving dynamics. Priced at $90,600 before on-road costs, so just scraping $100,000 on the road, the base GV80 2.5 rear drive is also the only 5-seat configuration of this range. The next step is to jump up to an all-wheel drive 7-seat version of the 2.5-litre turbo petrol. The outputs remain the same at 224 kilowatts and 422 newton meters, but the price increases by $5,000 to $95,600. Factoring in the all-pour ability and the extra row of seating, that doesn't seem too bad to me. The two 4-cylinder grades run on 20-inch wheels wrapped in 265/50 Michelin rubber. But the really desirable engines will be the two 6-cylinders of the lineup. The first is a brand new straight-six turbo diesel that will undoubtedly appeal to those of us who tow and those of us who appreciate plentiful torque and decent fuel economy. The GV80 3-litre diesel will produce 204 kilowatts of power and a hearty 588 newton-meters of torque, channeled through the same 8-speed torque converter automatic gearbox that all GV80s make use of, plus an all-wheel drive system. But the flagship engine, as Genesis has labelled it, is a title reserved to the 3.5-litre turbocharged V6 petrol engine producing 279 kilowatts of power and 530 newton-meters of torque, and that promises to be a true powerhouse. Both 6-cylinder variants make use of an electronically controlled, mechanical, limited-slip differential on the rear axle to provide them with heightened handling abilities, while the wheel and tyre package on the 6s is stepped up to 22-inch wheels in 265/40 Michelins. We'll know much more about how the GV80 drives when we actually, drive it, but on paper, things look pretty cool. Both 6-cylinder variants make secondary use of the safety camera to scan the road for potholes, speed bumps, and other imperfections, and prime the dampers for the impact. And this system, plus the base conventional suspension in the 5-seat model, has been specifically tuned in Australia for our roads. That shows great promise, particularly when German luxury SUVs in this price range tend to ride quite poorly in Australia if you don't carefully specify air suspension and small wheels. We'll see if the GV80 has a unique advantage in the ride department for Australia when we drive it. Speaking of the safety camera, there's a particularly generous safety suite that's standard on all GV80 models, including on the regular specification. This includes 10 airbags, including the new center airbag that's a necessity for a 5-star crash rating, along with the junction automated braking feature that's also required for that score nowadays. On top, the GV80 receives forwards autonomous emergency braking with car, pedestrian, and cyclist detection, lane keeping assist that can detect lanes and road edges alike, lane tracing, rear cross-traffic alert, exit warning, adaptive cruise control, a 360-degree camera, and auto high beam. There's also blind spot monitoring, both by radar and a driver's camera prompt in the instrument cluster. Other standard spec, included right from the 90 grand base model and up, is plentiful. All GV80 buyers will receive a panoramic sunroof and laminated windows. Inside, you'll find genuine leather trim on the 12-way adjustable front seats and dashboard, along with genuine open pore wood throughout the cabin, and there'll be 5 leather colours and 4 woods. The front seats are heated and ventilated, while the steering column is powered. The base infotainment package scores the 14.5-inch central touchscreen that you see here, plus analog gauges with a digital portion that displays the blind spot camera. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included, but sadly their connection is wired for now. Audio should be brilliant, by way of a 21-speaker 1050-watt Lexicon by Harman stereo, while there's also a power tailgate and ambient lighting. But we suspect that the sole substantive option, the $10,000 luxury package, will be popular. The luxury pack really elevates the GV80 into the realm of far more high-end SUVs like the Mercedes GLS. For that additional 10 grand, you pick up quilted Napa grade leather upholstery, a suede headliner, a 12-inch digital driver display, noise cancellation of road roar, and the Genesis Hyundai Group's new Smart Pack autonomous parking feature that also works from the key fob. The driver gets an 18-way adjustable seat with ergomotion massage functionality, while the second and third row seats gain power adjustment, with the middle row also scoring heating and ventilation, plus vanity mirrors. The doors become soft close and sport rear privacy glass, while on the safety front, the GV80 picks up forward attention warning and rear AEB. Outside, 8 gloss colours will be available along with 3 matte paints, and those matte options will attract an additional $2,000 charge. But ownership should be where the GV80 is easier on you than most of its rivals, with that purchase price including 5 years or 50,000 kilometres of scheduled maintenance, which are taken care of by a valet that brings the Genesis to you, takes your car away, and then reverses the process at the end of the day once the maintenance is finished. There's also a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, with the same period provided for roadside assist. So that's a detailed look at the 2021 Genesis GV80 luxury SUV. But is it worth 6 figures of your hard-earned cash by the time you factor in drive-away pricing? Let me know your thoughts down below the video in the comments box. While you're there, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. It makes a really big difference. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.